The holiday of Purim, the mitzvah, we read the Megillah, which starts with the party that Ahasuerus made for 180 days. And the celebration, the reason for the celebration was that according to the calculations of Ahasuerus, the 70-year exile that was decreed for the Jewish people, after which the Holy Temple would be rebuilt, the 70 years were up, and the Holy Temple was nowhere in sight. And therefore, he was celebrating that event. And it was for that reason that Mordechai said the Jewish people are not allowed to go to that dinner, to that party, because that party is celebrating the demise of the Jewish people. The Midrash tells us that 18,500 people went to the party. Now the party was glot kosher food, was kosher wine with the best rabbinic supervision. No Jew had to drink wine that wasn't kosher, but yet after the wine went in, the Jews, unfortunately, they sinned, and that was the source of the decree that gave Haman the ability to make a decree against the Jewish people. When the decree was signed by God to destroy the Jewish people, the Midrash tells us that Eliyahu Navi, Elijah the prophet, ran to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moshe, and said to them, great fathers of the Jewish nation, how long are you going to sleep? The Jewish people are in dire danger, and they're going to be destroyed. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said, look, if they sinned, then there's nothing we can do. They got to take the rap for what they've done. And Eliyahu Navi turned to Moshe and he says, Moshe, you stemmed the tide, you dammed the river so many times for the Jewish people. You stood as a dam in the river so many times against the Jewish people. Are you going to sit by and let this happen? And Moshe Rabbeinu said, is there a good man down there? Is there a tzaddik? Is there a righteous man? And Eliyahu Navi Elijah said, yes, there is. It's Mordechai. So Moshe said, okay, tell Mordechai to pray down there, and I'll pray up here, and we'll be able to remove the decree. But then Elijah and Eliyahu turned to God, to Moshe, and he said, but it's already been signed and sealed. It's already been written. And Moshe Rabbeinu asked Eliyahu Navi, is it written with tar, with ink, or is it written in blood? How was it written? Was it written with tint, with ink, or was it written with blood? And Eliyahu said it's only written with ink. Moshe Rabbeinu said, okay, if it's only written with ink, we can erase it. We can get rid of it. And then the rest is history. Mordechai gathered the Jewish people, they fasted, and they were able to repeal the decree. So I'd like to just dwell with you for a moment on the concept of in what lies the difference if the decree was written in blood or if it was written with ink. So the concept is as follows. Blood is something that is the source of life. It flows through our veins, and without blood, we cannot live. It's our actual life depends on blood. Ink is something that goes on top of something. You write with ink on paper, you write with ink on something else, it's superficial, it's external, it can be erased. There's no way to remove your blood and stay alive. One cannot purge his blood from his veins and remain alive. But one can erase anything that's written on them in ink. So that was the question that Moshe was asking Eliyahu. Was the sin that the Jewish people did at the dinner, at that feast, was it that they were rebelling against God? Was it something that was inside of them? That the blood that's running through their veins was rebelling against God? It was something internal to them? Or was it something that they just did it, it was an external act, but inside they're still true and loyal to Hashem? And when Eliyahu told it was only written in ink, so the concept is it was just superficial. It was just an external act that did not really touch the essence of the Jewish people. Their essence, their blood was still true, flowing truly to God, and therefore the decree could be repealed because the sins that they did were just superficial. They were not within their essence. And that's a very powerful concept, that the Jewish people, in essence, we are good. We are loyal to God. The deepest recesses of our soul, we are loyal to God. Although we may sin, although we may do something inappropriate from time to time, it doesn't reflect on our true essence and our true character. It is just external and superficial. And therefore we can always, always come back to Hashem and do teshuvah, repent, because it's not really deep inside of us. It's just something that we've, unfortunately, it's done, but it's superficial. As part of the celebration of Purim is celebrating the true essence of our love and loyalty to God, and how He's always there for us, preserving us and saving us till this day. Thank you very much, and have a happy Purim.